Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. I'm here with my good friend Lorna, who I call one of my greatest cheerleaders.
Hi, I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I strive to embrace and enjoy each new phase of life. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
It's so fun to have you here, and we want to start with just a little celebration. And as I was thinking about what I want to celebrate today, I came up with two, so I might just share two.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, my one celebration is that this week, for the past couple days, when I have breakfast, I am not multitasking. And usually I'm reading something or I'll answer a quick email. I just multitask when I eat breakfast, especially. And so I was like, what if I go and sit in my living room by my big bay window and I look outside while I eat? And so I've been doing that, and I did it for lunch yesterday too. And what was kind of cool is that breakfast seemed to take less time than it feels like otherwise. And it was just enjoyable. And then today I had some music on too while I was looking out the window. And anyway, it was just very cool, and even turned into just a cool memory of when a friend had been here sitting in one of the chairs and feeling the sunshine and just loving that shortly before she ended up getting really sick and then a few years later passing away. And so I was like, wow, all of that from just eating my breakfast in my living room without multitasking. So that was just really fun. And then my other celebration is this. I've been meaning since December to write a letter to one of my sons. Every so often, I'm just like this. I just feel like there's feelings and thoughts that I don't always express every day that I just want in a letter, and I'll leave it on my kid's pillow. And I finally did that this week, and I went and left it on his pillow, just expressing my love and admiration, and just that I'm so happy that I have gotten to be his mom. So just
awesome.
Fun things that are bringing me joy, I guess.
I love it. I love both of those. I think that's fun, right? As we slow down, then we can see things like with the sun and your friend, and then with writing that note, taking the time. I love it. That's awesome. That's inspiring me. I want to do that.
Oh, yay.
So my celebration is kind of two as well. I'm celebrating the fact that I was available for my kids when they were wanting or needing something. I had a daughter that came home for lunch yesterday and really needed to unload. And I just was so grateful that my schedule is flexible enough, and that I do typically try to keep lunch open with her anyway, but that was a time when she needed me and I was able to be there for her. And then my son, so still along the same lines of just being available to them, my son he's getting excited about this next season of sports. He loves all the sports, and baseball is around the corner. And he has asked me 3 out of the last 4 days to go out and play catch with him. And I totally have been able to go out and play catch with him, and it's been so fun. So I just the idea of like being available when our kids are ready. And my life, like we both are at a little bit different phase than we were 5 or 10 years ago. Like my kids are now teens, and so they aren't around as much because they're at school and after school sports and other activities that I really do try to be available when they are. And then it's awesome when they do ask and they want my attention or want to spend time with me, and I can easily be like, yep, let's do it.
Yep. Well, it's just always a celebration when you do what you were hoping you would do.
Yeah.
Right. That you're like, I want to be available. This is how I'm kind of trying to do my life right now. And then to see yourself also showing up the way you want to is something just to celebrate. Anyway, that is fantastic. And I got a little taste of the lunchtime thing the other day because I was at your house and your daughter came home, but you weren't there because you're with your son for a haircut or whatever. And it was fun because my kids don't come home at lunch. So it was just fun to have her come home, and we just chit-chatted about whatever. And so I got a little glimpse into life of Lorna at lunchtime. But so fun that you've chosen to make yourself available at that time. And then sometimes it's just chit-chat, I'm sure. But yesterday or whatever, this week, it was like there was a real need there.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Awesome. This idea of flexibility, I think, is something we could jump right into, because we talked about where we've been and we've been thinking, where are we now? And I think one of the things is that even if we had similar flexibility when kids were younger, like 5 years ago or whatever, I think in some ways it felt different, especially if we had kids at home and we just felt very busy with that time. But now when they're not here, flexibility is one of the things I value so much, that I can be there for the times when my kids need it. Or I can realize, like right now, the time to like sit and talk with my kids is to just be in the same space when they stretch after they run. So my two older boys both do cross country, and I can just sit there. And then if they decide to talk about stuff, they do, right? Otherwise, we're just like, oh, how was the day? Or how was this class or whatever. But at other times, I think I would have felt so pressed for time and that there was so much to get done and so little like time and energy to do it that would have been harder. But right now at this stage, I can enjoy and embrace that flexibility.
I think that there's a foundation that's laid as we are trying to be available for them as they're young and then moving into teenagers and young adults that I'm so grateful for that I tried to kind of foster that. It hasn't always been great, but then even kind of a refocus on it. And actually just over the last couple of weeks, I've realized that my kids all go to bed on their own and they're old enough to, they don't need me to tuck them in, but I have missed that quality time with them. A lot of times they're going to bed a little bit later than I am. Like we'll wrap up devices and I'll be telling them, hey, head to bed. And they sometimes are meandering or doing homework. And so up later than I am. And so I've kind of gotten out of the habit over the last few years of tucking them in. And it just has dawned on me over the last couple of weeks that I want to change that there is something about being in my kid's bedroom at night that allows for conversation that is different than when we're in the living room. And so I've been trying to foster that a little bit more and just be present in those experiences too. Like try and foster some more opportunities to be flexible and present for them.
Well, I like that it's just something that at any time we can just have a little moment of like, oh wait, I want to reassess and how do I want to do this right now? And as I was thinking of this time of tucking the kids in, it's just like this little moment that it's just you and it's just them. And hopefully it can be like totally free from a to-do list, totally free from distraction, and it can just be a walking in and a positive close to the day.
And really no agenda.
Right. Yep.
If they want to talk, great. I'm here to listen. If you don't, all right, I'll just give you a hug. And I think that also helps foster some more connection when I don't have an agenda with what I want to make sure I tell him and remind him and make sure he's doing this.
Yep. Right. Because that's part of our lives too. And so it's just nice to set aside time that it's not that. And I love your phrase of no agenda because that means that you're also not like, we are now going to talk for 10 minutes and you are going to spill all of your deepest, darkest feelings to me. Here I am. It's just a little connection, but you're open. And I think that idea of being open to where it leads it's a fun place to be when we can be there.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
This makes me think of the fact that there's different, maybe like different tools. And I like what you said about foundation because by knowing a little bit more about what works for me and what doesn't work for me, because I've had experiences now that have kind of built what works and what doesn't, then I can kind of pick and choose the tools I use. When new tools come about, I can be like, oh, yep, that's a tool that I want to embrace. That's going to help me. When my kids were really little, my husband was gone a lot fighting fires and stuff. And people would talk about these elaborate bedtime routines of, and we do a bath and we do a story and I sing them some songs and like they talk and I'm like, I am getting more and more tired just listening to you because at that time of day I was depleted and I remember realizing I have to take everything off of bedtime except the essentials because I'm tired. That wasn't a time that worked for me, but it worked for others. And so just being able to learn that and then being able to be open now to realizing like, okay, what's my stage of life? Do I like this idea I just heard from someone? Oh, yes, I do. I'm going to give it a whirl and just see if I like it, if I want to tweak it, or if I'm like, that just never felt natural, I'm going to throw it out and try something else. So I think that's one of the things about being where I am now that's kind of fun and kind of nice because it's easier to determine which tools will be helpful.
For sure. Well, and I feel like at this point in time, I'm less judgmental of myself and allow myself more room to play and try things and not be so high strung. I really do love that about who I'm becoming, that I can relax a little bit more. I think there was some relaxing I was doing for sure when the kids were younger, but there's just a different approach now that I see myself and even other people with, that it is less judgmental and I just can love them and see where they are and even kind of give myself grace and them grace for where they are.
Yep. Well, I like this idea of relaxing because it doesn't mean that you don't feel like it's an important thing you're doing. We can feel like this is a really important thing I'm doing. So it's worth playing with a couple of different ideas and kind of figuring out like what's going to work and what's not going to work or whatever, as opposed to this is something that's really important to me and I think it's really worthwhile. And so I have to find the right way. And just realizing, oh, there's lots of ways. right?
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
and just I like the word play because for me it just lightens it. It doesn't take away the importance of that connection with our kids or whatever. It just lightens it.
Yeah. So good.
Oh, I guess this is what I was thinking too with what you said, this idea that it's almost like being intentional in a different way and just being more aware of the thoughts and the words that we have with ourselves that work to build us up and help us have energy and help us show up in the ways we want to show up. And then when we don't show up the way we want to show up, how to then deal with that in a way that helps us rather than hinders us. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
That whole mix just feels like I've learned stuff, and that's nice. It feels like I've learned better how to do those things. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from you too, that you've learned how to do these things. You're like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, and just a simple example, I feel like when my kids were really young, anytime the doorbell would ring or somebody would knock at the door, there was like an instant sense of like anxiety and stress that would come. And I would be thinking, what are they going to see from the front door? When I open that door, what are they going to see? And then fast forward, we moved from that house to another house. From the front door, you can see my kitchen sink. I would have died had my kitchen sink been not really died, but I would have just been mortified if people could see my kitchen sink from my front door in my old house when my kids were little, where I feel like it was so much of a mess. And we still have dirty dishes all the time. Like, I'm not the type of mom that for sure stays up at night making sure the dishes are done before I go to bed. That's not me. So we have dirty dishes on our counters, or clean dishes. We do some hand wash and we sit them out to dry. And so if people are really wanting to see from my front door, they can totally see dirty dishes on my counter and clean dishes on my counter. But even that, I've given myself more grace. Like, we are human. Of course, we have dirty dishes. And actually, I'm grateful we have dirty dishes, because that means, like I've mentioned before, it means I have family here. It means that we have people in our house that we are feeding and raising still. So I just have a different perspective on that, even at this point.
yeah, I'm hoping that you're going to share your perspective on dinner time in general. I'm going to share something, and then I'm hoping you will share something that you told me the other day,
Yeah.
just to give you some time to think about that. This is my expectation, Lorna. No, I'm just kidding. But I was just thinking even that a lot of times when I was preparing dinner, I'd get on the phone. Because I'm like, this is not a favorite part of my day, so I'm going to pair it with something that I enjoy more, right? Well, I do that a lot less. Part of it is because that's when my kids are around and we can be visiting, right? Whereas in the past, when they were little, that's when they were like running out and playing. So
yes,
that has shifted. But also, I've just really been trying to work with this thought. And the thought is like, learn to love that which I must do. And of course, we can say, well, you don't have to do anything. Well, in order to be alive, I do need sustenance. I need food to live. And so as I think about that, just being able to figure out, well, how can I love this? And what's getting in the way of me loving it? And for me, some of it was a friend told me about an app. It's called Copy Me That. This is not a commercial, but I just use the free Copy Me That app. That I can just put my recipes in there, and then I can like put which day of the week I'm going to have them. And then it helps me make the grocery list. And it's super, super easy for me. So much better than writing stuff. And I know there's lots of tools, but to find a tool like that takes care of whatever my little difficulty was, then I'm like, that just took out so much of the stuff that made it so I wasn't loving food preparation. And then I also realized that now I have a whole list of things that I have made before, and I know what we like and I know what we don't like. And I feel even more maybe open to making new things because I have so many under my belt that I can make. And I don't mean memorized or anything. And I'm not a creative chef. I'm not someone who's like, I'll just create it in the kitchen. I'm like, where's the recipe? I want to know it tastes good before I spend my time and energy on this. But you've also had something for that dinner time that has changed for you.
Yeah. I feel like I've had this resistance to dinner and food, and the whole idea of like, really, I have to make another meal, right? And just within the last couple of weeks, the thought came to me that this is actually an opportunity where I get to spend time with my family. And so it actually took away the resistance, and it actually feels a little more light and loving to make a meal for my family, because that means we get to connect at a mealtime, where if we're all fending for ourselves, we're not really sitting down and connecting. And so this is an opportunity for me to foster that connection that I value so much. And so even yesterday, as I'm like, oh, what are we going to do for dinner? It was like, oh yeah, I know, I'm going to figure it out. And I just was able to do it. And it didn't have to be heavy. It was more of, yeah, I want to do this because it feels good to connect with my family. And it's a way that I get to foster that.
And I love it because again, we all have to eat if we're going to stay alive. And so
Yeah.
just you figuring out like as an opportunity, it just changes how I feel about it. Well, and
Yeah.
I want you to tell me again too about after realizing that, like one of the first nights, how your gathering works. Do you remember?
Oh, I don't remember. You remind me.
Okay, and then you jump in. But you said you were like, well, so I had this epiphany, and then that night you guys were doing different things. And so you sat down, I think, with just your husband for a while. And then one of your kids got home, and so they joined for a little bit, but your other kid was busy doing something that they needed to do. And so it wasn't like the whole family had gathered. And of course, you have two kids out of the house, so they weren't there or whatever. But in the moment, from what you told me, you weren't like, oh, I just had this epiphany, and now look at this. So how did you feel instead?
Yeah, that is so true. That was exactly what happened. That because I was looking for a way to connect, I was still able to be in a really great mindset and connect with my husband for that time while we were just eating. And then as my son came and I was able to connect with him and in that setting and my daughter, it wasn't the perfect, all of us are sitting down together and having a perfect conversation and using really great manners. I just was able to embrace even the imperfectness of fostering some connection with my family. So yeah, very good.
Which was
Yeah, and it feels good that I wasn't judging what was happening. And I think that's another example of how I've let go of that judgment. Like I don't have to be stressed out and frustrated that it didn't go picture perfect. I could embrace whatever it was and enjoy how it played out.
Yeah. And that was so fun. I just love that.
Thank you. It was fun for me too. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, just another little happy bonus celebration. I don't know.
Yes, totally.
Something else that has been on my mind is I remember hearing a lot of times about the decade of decision. So some of our listeners might remember that there was this time it's like, this is your decade of decision, like 15 to 25. And you're deciding, what you're going to study and where you're going to live and who you're going to marry, all these things. And I remember from like 25-ish to 35 or 40, I was like, well, if that's the decade of decision, this right here is the decade of learning, because all of a sudden you are out of your house, you're out of your parents' house at some point in that phase, right? And you're really doing life on your own. And all of a sudden you're the one who's the parent and you're the one who people are looking to, like, the answer for this, right, Mom? And you're like, can we just tie your shoe again? I know that answer. No, I'm just kidding. And even sometimes that it's like, I don't even know how to teach you that. But I just loved that there was this decade of learning. And I remember once I came up with kind of that phrase for myself, I'm like, okay, decade of learning. Cool. So I'm going to be learning stuff, right? That's fine. Just going to keep learning. And so I was just thinking this morning about what is this decade then? What decade am I in right now? And I don't have a title for it yet. I don't know if it's a decade of becoming. I don't know if it's a decade of introspection. I don't know what the decade title I would give it is. And who knows, maybe the decade is really a score. That's 20 years, right? Maybe it's the score of learning. I don't know. But somehow just giving it that title did exactly what you talked about. It just allowed me to like realize that all the things that were coming my way was just learning, because I'd never done it before.
And I think kind of giving yourself some grace to try learning. Like, how do I want to handle this? Like, it took away maybe the pressure of doing it right and letting it be an opportunity to learn, because we can learn as we feel like we're failing or making mistakes too.
Right. Exactly. Right. It's not like everything went right. It was just like, oh, okay, that happened. Now I know something, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, moving on.
So good. Another thought I have come across recently is a different type of gratitude for Bart and what he contributes to our family. Sometimes I get emotional and it's all good, but as one example in particular, my husband just got put in the bishopric, and he had been our Sunday chef since my 14-year-old son was born, because I had a state calling that I was gone lots of Sundays, at least one, if not two in the mornings. And so he just took it upon himself to be our Sunday chef, which was lovely and fabulous. It was such a relief for me because we had like young kids. Anyway, my husband took this upon himself like 14 years ago. And as my husband's getting called into the bishopric, I was just kind of teasing with my family, like, oh, Sundays are going to be different. Like, who's going to be our Sunday chef? And my 14-year-old son pointed at himself and said, I will. And that was like just such a kind of a full circle moment, in that my husband had been doing it for all the years and my son had helped him from time to time. My son would offer to help him, But then what actually came about was that my son was willing to run with it and support his dad in his calling and our family. It was just such an awesome thing. And over the years, we had no idea that my son was watching what my husband was doing. And it just has helped me appreciate all of those little things that my husband has done. And not that I'm perfect at seeing them all, but being able to appreciate what my husband has done and fostering different things than I have been. And it's making a different impact than what I'm doing. And I'm just so grateful for that.
I love that. You hadn't told me that story before, so I'm just like processing the story. But I can just picture your son saying like, "Well, I'll be the chef." Anyway, what a happy moment. That's another fantastic celebration, right? Just and not even necessarily to give yourself all the credit or all the benefit, whatever. Just to say it's really fun. Just like it's fun for me to see you do something that you're like, I'm so happy I see dinner time differently. That kind of thing. That you see, oh, he feels like he can step up and that he has something to contribute. That's just, you were going to say something else.
And I think it's also been fun to notice, and he's not making Sunday dinner every single week. Let me be real with you. For sure, he has not taken upon himself full bore every Sunday all the time, but he is doing it more than he would have. And I can still celebrate his willingness, number one. And then number two, as he does do it, I can be so grateful that he's willing to do it sometimes. And really I think he does take it upon himself. And so sometimes it's a simple thing, or he's asking us, what should I be making? Or should I put something in the oven? Or because I don't come home right after church either. Now my husband stays after for meetings. I usually go to our word choir. And so he is still kind of taking it upon himself. And sometimes I'm helping him figure it out. And sometimes my husband's helping him figure it out, but he still is willing and kind of being the point person on it.
Well, he's just aware of it. The fact that even in whatever imperfect 14-year-old way he's doing it, he's aware of it and taking it on himself. Just makes it really fun. As you were talking about that greater gratitude for all that your husband does, it also makes you think of, I think my eyes have been opened over the past few years to my flexibility that I have and the flexibility that my husband does not always have, just because of how we've chosen to divide up what we're doing and all of those kinds of things. And it's helped me to be more mindful of like, okay, this is why it's sometimes hard for him to be like, yes, I want to go do your whole list of things that you think would be fun this weekend, as opposed to this is what would be really renewing to me. And I've started to learn that, and it doesn't mean we never do what's renewing to me and that I can't tell him that, but I've learned that there's a lot of opportunities for me to do some of the things that are renewing to me at different times of day. And I can dedicate my time to that at those times. And then I can be a little more open, just having recognized that my flexibility and his flexibility are different. He is expected to be at a certain place at a certain time, 5 days a week, and to get certain tasks done that can't just like, it's fine, wait 6 months. No, actually, that's called losing your job. So I agree. Just being able to have eyes to see and to appreciate what someone else, what our partners in life and parenting have given, and to be able to be grateful for it feels so much better in our hearts and in our minds. And I think then it opens our eyes even to see more.
Yeah, I totally agree. So good.
I had just one other thing I wanted to share. The very first thought that came to me as I was thinking about where we are now is I remember back before I had kids, I was teaching, kind of newly married. I was reading like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think the teen book because it was more fun. But one of the things in there talked about like writing a mission statement. And I remember at that time and through my 20s and stuff, I was like, well, that's a fun idea. And I'd work with it. And I just couldn't settle on things. And since then, I have settled on things. And it's not a 1-sentence thing. It's something that works for me. But I think part of where I am now is that there's certain maybe guiding principles that were a little bit have been easier to settle on as I've had experiences. And those still change and evolve even now. But we're so young. We're so young. And we don't have a lot of experience when we start the journey of parenthood, even if we start that in our 30s. Now, if you're in your 40s, even though you're 40, you're still starting the journey of parenthood as like a baby parent, right? Because you haven't done it before. And I have a friend who played the French horn. Like that, she got a scholarship for the French horn. Like that's how good she was or whatever. And she's just picked it back up. And she was telling me this morning, she's like, I sound like a middle school student. She's like, I just have to be okay with that. And so even though sometimes when it's our first time through something, we can be like, it's all right. Like it's my first time. What about when we come back to a place and we're like, I'm really here again. Like I was at a place where I was really good at this thing, whatever it is. And now here I am again. And are we willing to be bad at it, if you want to put it that way? Are we willing to sit in that place again and have the squeaks and not have our lips in the right position for French horn or whatever? I don't really know much about that instrument, but it was just so profound to me that she was like, yep, I'm willing to do it. I'm just going to keep going to my little band practice and sound like the middle school kid. And I think it's something for us to remember too. So even though I feel more settled and I have my mission statement and I have my tools and I have the things I like, there are times when I circle back and I'm like a new mom again, or I'm doing something where I'm like, I thought I had this figured out, but here I am again. And it's okay. It's okay to be bad at something, if you want to put it that way, again for a while you're just learning again.
Well, and I love it because I think a lot of times we don't want to feel embarrassed or insecure or not as good as someone else. And so sometimes we'll avoid, right? It would be easy for her to be like, nope, I'm not going to worry about the French horn ever again. I put it away when I was in high school or whatever. I'm done. No college, you said. Anyway, but I think there is so much value in being willing to, like you're saying, be bad at something, be a little bit embarrassed, try something new. There's something so beautiful about trying something because then we can find opportunities for the growth. Then we can learn and improve. And I think even maybe our capacity for joy can be enlarged because we're willing to be terrible at something. And then we can have the opposite of the spectrum can be increased on the other side, which I think is so valuable. One example for me has been like, I have gone to the gym with a friend for maybe 5-ish years. I've had 2 different friends that I've gone with, one friend for a couple of years, then some overlap, and another friend for a couple of years. Now there's a 3rd friend coming with us, but I did not want to go to the gym by myself. That felt embarrassing and uncomfortable.
I remember those days. Yep.
You heard my story. And one day I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it. They can't go today or something had happened and I'm just going to go today. And I totally had texted you, Amy, I'm going today. Or maybe we'd even called. I feel like it's been a couple times where I'm like, Amy, I'm going to be brave today. Like, help me out. I'm trying. Anyway. And now here I am just a couple years later. And now I have gone to the gym by myself a few different times, even just this in the last like 5-ish months, this last school year. I've been able to go by myself and I just do my workout. And I've grown and gained some confidence in going to the gym by myself, right? But it wouldn't have happened if I would have just said, I'm never going to the gym by myself. I'm never going to try that. But I'm stretching some of that muscle of self-consciousness or embarrassment. And it actually is kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, so 2 things. Number 1, I love that you went to joy because that's exactly what my friend said about the French horn. She's like, I am having so much fun doing it, even though I know where I've been. My own skill level is like, yikes, or whatever. But she's like, it's so much fun. So just to remember that part of what all the joy of like childhood is that they're just having fun in the learning and the growth and the trying, and we can harness that too. And then secondly, in your experience with the gym, even in that moment of feeling like, I don't know, can I go to the gym? You even stepped out there and were vulnerable and were like, I just need a little support. I mean, I didn't do anything. I don't even know what I did. I'm like, yay for you. That's like what I did. I was just like, you can do it. And I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if it was a call or a text, but there wasn't a heck of a lot I could do or that you expected me to do, but you were just like, okay, I need a little bit of hand holding. And I've totally been there too. And I'll even say it to my husband sometimes at different times. And he's like, you need hand holding in this? Because you never need hand holding. I'm like, yes, I do. I need hand holding right now. So just be aware. I'm feeling vulnerable. I don't feel like I just feel super uncomfortable in whatever situation. Just give me some hand holding and it won't last forever. And I think sometimes we block ourselves because maybe we're in that zone. We're like, well, I kind of want to try this by myself, but I need a hand to hold. And we're not willing to reach out for the hand to hold. So hold someone's hand. It's all right.
Yeah. Reach out, right? Let people know you need some help or, some support. And then they can celebrate too with you.
Yeah. And lately you celebrated a couple times, but not every time. I don't hear from you every time you go to the gym by yourself because you're just like, good, right?
I can do it now, right? Well, and I think that first time can feel the most uncomfortable. So even with your friend, starting with the French horn, like that can feel the most uncomfortable, but then we've done it a time. I've gone to the gym by myself once. All right, now I've gone twice. Okay, now I've maybe gone 8 or 10 times and it's okay. Like, yay me, I've done it and I'm progressing. Same with your friend. She keeps at it and she's progressing.
Yeah, I just love that. That is so fantastic. Well, do you have any other things that you want to jump into today about where we are. I'm sure we could go on for ages.
Right. Well, and I think just I've been more open to trying new things, more open to feeling vulnerable and being okay with it. Because really, as I love myself along the way, yeah, I'm not going to be perfect at it, but then there really is just greater capacity for the joy and the happiness.
Just allow ourselves in our imperfect state to be our own best friend and be like, yep, it's the one person that's on this entire journey with me and it's never going away. So I might as well make friends with her, you know?
Yeah, and really then it feels so good, right? Because we can always have our own best friend with us.
Right.
All the time, amidst the hard and the scary and the vulnerable and the exciting. Here are some ideas from today. Consider what decade you're in. And if you're in the decade of learning, embrace it. And maybe be willing to be bad at something and to try something new, or to pick up something that you've done in the past that you might be bad at. Be willing to learn and grow from it. And then let go of the self-judgment and give yourself grace as you're learning and practicing. And if needed, reach out. Reach out for somebody's hand. Ask them to help you, to be there for you, to support you and encourage you as you're trying something new.
Another thing that you can do is you can try to see some things with new eyes. So one idea is to try and see those things that you must do through the eyes of like, how can I love this? How can I love this thing I must do? Another idea is to be able to see through the lens of gratitude, either see someone or something through a lens of gratitude. And I know sometimes it's harder than others, but something will arise. And if it doesn't arise, try it with someone else. And then the third thing you can try is you can see what is finished with different eyes. Too often we're like, well, it's not done unless it is at this particular standard. But you get to decide, this is done for me. This is what the bathroom looks like when it's done. This is what it looks like when the kids are to bed and that part's done. This is what it looks like when I'm done exercising. Whatever it is you do, you can name what finished looks like, or what done looks like, or what is good enough. So see with new eyes and try something and be bad at it for a while.
Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Lorna Adams.
And I'm Amy Rasmussen. See you next week at Moms.